Heyo, I'm Tater Ferone, and welcome to Port Taylor's Round 2 Summary. Another 4 years have passed in Port Taylor, and we joined our residents as they endured cold winters. Somewhere along the way, we were able to cure the disgusting look epidemic that plagued Port Taylor during Round 1. Our small town's population has been growing slowly but surely, and with the arrival of Cindy Farron, we have unlocked a public school. So now let's see how winter has treated our residents and how much more Port Taylor has grown. The Westbrook Lombardi household. As Port Taylor's mayor, Savion Westbrook figured it was very important to get more Sims moving into town, and as crazy as it sounds, he opened his door to the next townie he laid his eyes on, who happened to be Zach Lombardi. Eager to become part of a new thriving town and hopefully get some inspiration for his first novel, Zach accepted and moved in with the mayor immediately, quitting his job as a professional party guest in the slacker career track. However, Zach didn't get to immediately start that novel he was itching to write, as Savion dragged him along to Port Taylor's new park on a quest to meet more Sims and hopefully find a special someone. When they weren't at the park, Savion was working hard at Port Taylor Town Hall, getting it to rank 8 and even promoting cashier Joshua Glazier to manager, and Zach finally got to work on that novel. Being productive didn't last long though, as Savion took his new friend yet again out on love-seeking excursions. Savion ran into townie Tyler Kipp at Blue Planet, but quickly found out that nothing was likely to come from their previous flirt. Meanwhile, Zach reconnected with townie Bradley Chamberlain, the two entering a relationship with the romantic embrace by the pinball machines. Zach may or may not be committed to Bradley though, as he was spotted enjoying townie Tyler Kipp's flirting, which would explain Tyler Kipp potentially friend-zoning our dear Mayor Savion. In the very end of winter, Zach went ahead and moved out to start his own Port Taylor adventure. With Zach out of the house, new rumors come in of Savion spending lots of time with the earnest Sierra Westbrook. The Bagley household. The Bagley household seemed to be extremely lucky with money as they started the winter with a good investment, which led to their already high funds doubling. Their excitement didn't stop there as twins Julian and Rita had their birthday, aging up to toddlers. Watching their children grow up left Elle feeling that something was still missing, so she and Miles began trying for a third baby to welcome into Port Taylor. There was still so much to do and teach their toddlers, so Elle brought out the smart milk, and they were able to teach the twins to walk and talk, making it so much easier to plan for a new baby and expand their home, giving it a second story. Elle and Miles are finally expecting their third child on the third year of trying, and with Miles returning to work at Blue Planet and already having 2 toddlers at home, Elle needed extra help and asked it from their dear friend Savion Westbrook, and Savion proved himself to not only be a great mayor but also an amazing babysitter. Thanks to the smart milk and extra help from Savion, Miles was able to put in enough work at Blue Planet to finally reach rank 3, and by the time he returned home, their baby boy Desi Bagley was born. As winter was nearing its chaotic end, Julian and Rita Bagley aged up to children, and Desi aged up to a toddler, and the household paid their $37.4K tax to Mayor Savion Westbrook. The Mullins household. As winter rolled around, Joel and Abby couldn't bear to watch their friend Emmett devereux's financial struggles, so they took out a loan of $15K to send to him with the promise of him paying them back when he was able to. That was until they won a $300K jackpot, so they assured Emmett that he could just keep it. Abby purchased her bakery, Abby Bread, but quickly realized that she may have been a bit too ambitious too soon as she struggled to come up with recipes to stock up with, leaving Abby and her cashier, townie Roman Brewer, without work until she's properly prepared. Despite that, winter in the Mullins household was going beautifully as Joel proposed to Abby. They were so ecstatic from this successful proposal that they barely paid any mind to their flat screen TV falling off the wall during their woohoo commotion, even though it was the TV Abby had gifted to Joel before they even started dating. As their baby girl, Femi, aged up to a toddler, they began attempting to add a new addition to their growing family, although their attempts have been unsuccessful. This had not left them bitter as they had a private wedding in the living room, and Femi had success as well as she learned all her necessary toddler skills with the help of their handy-dandy smart milk. Joel returned to Fresh Take and immediately hired a new cashier to replace Abby, a townie by the name of Bradley Chamberlain, who had to witness his boss be savaged by a werewolf with Chief Aaron on his very first day on the job. Joel was very happy with it though. In fact, he was the one who befriended and invited Richie over for that very purpose. So now Joel will likely spend the rest of his days as a werewolf, much to Abby's dismay. In the very end of their first winter, Femi aged up to a child, and the family paid a tax of $27.7K. The Devereux household. Thanks to his friends Joel and Abby sending him $15K, Emmett Devereux moved out of their house and into a home of his own on 5 Lavender Way. He eagerly began his new life by purchasing a flower shop called Devereux and hired tiny Pamela Olsen to be cashier, and that same year, Devereux reached rank 1. His warm welcome didn't last long though, as aliens swept him up and away into the stars, beginning a hellish winter for Emmett. Shaken by the trauma of being abducted by aliens, Emmett began gathering a support group to help him get through this dark era of his life, quickly befriending Mayor Savion Westbrook after another abduction. Emmett gave birth to an alien baby girl named Clarabelle, hoping that his nightmare was finally over as he lovingly gazed into the stars in her eyes. He quickly found himself amongst the stars, not the beauty of his daughter's eyes, but the stars that haunt him up above. When Emmett wasn't sleeping, eating, or caring for Clarabelle, he called Sims he knew on the phone to escape into the only safe place he could manage, eager to expand his support group as he carried another unborn alien baby, unable to shake the nagging feeling that the horrors were not yet over. He gave birth to another baby girl named Marilou, her eyes as deep and striking as her sister's, fearing that if he were to lose himself in them, he'd end up abducted for a 4th time. He couldn't resist, and he found himself longing to be back home with his girls as he's forcefully removed from his home yet again. But this time when he's thrown back onto his lawn, he's immediately split back up. When Emmett returned home, he could barely stay awake, his body giving up on him countless times, leaving him with no energy to maintain his support group. In the midst of his energy failures, he helped Clarabelle age up to toddler and he gave birth to one more baby, a boy named Callahan, surprised to see blue eyes staring back at him rather than starry night skies. As he paid his tax of $2.4K, he braced himself for another dreaded abduction that never came. The nightmare was finally over, but it will surely haunt him. The Nichols Ray household. Lila and Caden celebrated the coming of winter with a woohoo marathon. Their strange goal was 5 woohoos, but they were only able to manage 3. Fear flashed within Lila's eyes as she realized she was pregnant, unsure whether the pregnancy was from the marathon or from her recent woohoo with her secret fiancé Emmett Devereux. Caden was unaware of his girlfriend's inner turmoil as he focused on teaching Skylar his necessary toddler skills, teaching him to walk, talk, and use the potty all on his own with the help of smart milk. Lila gave birth to a baby girl named Tatiana, and to her relief, the father was Caden. With their small family growing, it was time to expand her home, and their small house got a 2nd story just in time for Skylar to age up to a child. With no school in zone, Lila took it upon herself to homeschool Skylar, her efforts paying off in the form of an A grade. Tatiana aged up to a toddler, still in need of learning all her necessary toddler skills. As winter reached its end, rumors of a school being built and ready at the start of spring thrilled Skylar, excited for an opportunity to learn in a classroom without the distractions of Lila screaming along to music and to meet other children of Port Taylor. In the very end, they owed Mayor Savion a tax of $4.8K. The Ferone household. Richie cursed winter when it came around. His skin was itching and crawling, his body was aching, he felt overstimulated, and everything felt so strange. He believed that winters in Port Taylor were going to be very dreadful if they were making him feel this badly. But as the 20th hour struck, the itching and crawling burned as thick hairs burst through his skin. His body aches became excruciating as he hunched over in unfathomable agony. His vision nothing but a bright flash of yellow as Hollis' scream was drowned out by the animalistic howl that erupted from him. Then he was just hungry and vigorous. To Richie's delight and Hollis' horror, Richie had somehow been infected with lycanthropy. They had no idea how it happened, but they briefly wondered if it had something to do with the amounts of time Richie was spending with the dogs, or maybe even the wild wolves of Port Taylor, but Richie swore he had never been bitten by one or anything of the sort. With his newfound energy, Richie invited his friend Savion Westbrook for a guys' night out at Blue Planet, only to be left dumbfounded as Savion went home as soon as he realized he had to pay for himself. That left more time for Hollis and Richie to spend together, and with the chaos attending to 6 animals and the busy work schedule finally aside, the two share their very first kiss after 6 years of living together in Port Taylor. The following year, Hollis wore a brave face as she proposed to her werewolf boyfriend, the two celebrating their successful proposal with their very first woohoo. Hollis and Richie planned for a town hall wedding, Hollis sending an invitation to her one and only friend, Tawny J. Washington, who then asked to invite their friend, Tawny Kelsey Green. Their wedding night came, new baby bump included, and they had their wedding at Port Taylor Town Hall, which was deemed a fun time despite Richie's horrid transformation during the short walk to their destination. As the end of winter drew near, Hollis gave birth to a baby girl named Cindy. Leaving Richie to care for their new baby and the pets, Hollis returned to work at Hollis Pets and got to rank 5, happily collecting her much-needed $50K bonus. Despite his rough start, Richie decided that it was a wonderful winter and that living life as a werewolf wasn't so bad once transforming became less painful, and set their $8.2K tax to Mayor Savion Westbrook. Here's Port Taylor's Round 2 household growth chart. We started off Round 2 with only 5 households, but now that Round 2 is over, we have 6 households. Here's Port Taylor's Round 2 population growth chart. At the start of Round 2, we had 14 citizens, but then as Round 2 went on, we had 1 sim move in, 6 sims born, leaving our current population at 21 residents. Now we can go into detail about the births and move-ins of Round 2. 6 sims were born into Port Taylor during Round 2. Clarabelle Devereux was born Round 2 Rotation 2. Tatiana Ray was also born Round 2 Rotation 2. Desi Bagley was born Round 2 Rotation 3. Marilou Devereux was born Round 2 Rotation 3. Callahan Devereux was born Round 2 Rotation 4. And finally, Cindy Ferron was born Round 2 Rotation 4. We had a whopping 9 birthdays in Port Taylor during Round 2. Both Jillian Bagley and Rita Bagley aged up into toddlers during Round 2 Rotation 1. Femi Mullins aged up to a toddler during Round 2 Rotation 1. Skylar Ray aged up into a child Round 2 Rotation 2. Tatiana Ray aged up into a toddler Round 2 Rotation 3. Jillian Bagley aged up again, this time to a child Round 2 Rotation 4. Rita Bagley aged up again, this time to a child Round 2 Rotation 4. And the same goes for Femi Mullins, who aged up into a child Round 2 Rotation 4. And our final age up for Round 2 was Clarabelle Devereux, who aged up to a toddler Round 2 Rotation 4. We've had only 1 sim move into Port Taylor this round, and it was Zach Lombardi due to ROS in Round 2 Rotation 1. This is Port Taylor's Round 2 population age chart. As we can see, there are 11 adults, 4 children, 3 toddlers, and 3 babies. This is Port Taylor's Round 2 taxes chart. The Bagley household paid the biggest tax of 37.4K simoleons. The Mullins household paid the second biggest tax of 27.7K simoleons. The Ferron household paid the third biggest tax of 8.2K simoleons. The Nichols-Ray household paid the fourth biggest tax of 4.8K simoleons. And the Devereux household paid the smallest tax of 2.4K simoleons. And altogether, Mayor Savion Westbrook collected 80.5K simoleons in taxes. At the very start of Round 2, Port Taylor only had 13 lots, but by the time Round 2 ended, Port Taylor had 16 lots. Port Taylor's new lots are lot number 5, Devereux, lot number 6, Abbey Bread, lot number 11, Biblio Corner, and lot number 16, 5 Lavender Way, which is where the Devereux household resides. So with that said, we can see that we now have 6 residential lots and 11 community lots. 9 of those community lots are businesses, and then the other 2 are just regular community lots. That is it for Port Taylor's Round 2 summary. Thank you guys so much for joining me during Round 2, and if you haven't already, please be sure to like and subscribe so you know when to join us again for Round 3. Bye!